Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video we're going through the Geelong vs Carlton game yet again on Fan Footy, and just going through how Geelong in the end had two less shots but still won by 13 points just because they kicked very accurately, and basically whenever Carlton scored a goal they came back and scored another, especially at the death there, just to kill off any Carlton charge that had very late with a couple of Acres goals late on that almost stole the game away. So before we get into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into this recap. So Graham Myers, I think he started off really hot. He ended up with a 106. I'm pretty sure he was on something like 80 at halftime or something like that. He really got going quickly and slowed down in the end, but yeah, he was on fire early. Let me just check what he was on here. In the first two quarters he had 64, and then in the third he had another 37, and then the last he had 5. So he was on 101 at 3/4 time and then fell away late. Guthrie 84, he looked pretty good early as well, I'm pretty sure, and then I think he fell away as well again late. 23 in the last though, so it wasn't too bad, but yeah, he was on 62 at half time, and then he had only a 32 last half, but then again he still got to a 104 and looked pretty good. Then we get to Jimmy Cameron, and he did a lot of his work obviously through his goals, and he ended up with a 101 and yeah, 1260 super coach, as he kicked the goal late to seal the game off, and that's how he did his work. 2 goals in the last, 1 goal, 1 in the third, 1 goal in the second, and 1 goal in the first, and he sort of did 20 points in each quarter. Yeah, 22 to 27 point spreads across the quarter, so it was sort of every quarter just doing his job. Max Holmes, a 96. Yeah, he looked pretty good. Snuck into the forward line for a goal, but aside from that, just did his job. 26 touches, 5 marks, 2 tackles for a 96. Zach Guthrie, 95. One of those sort of performances from very similar to like a guy like Himmelberg yesterday. When we went through that game against the Brisbane Lions, Himmelberg pulled out like a 105 or something like that. I see very similar things to Guthrie. He averages, I think, around the same number as Himmelberg, and they just sometimes pull out like 100 performance, because that's sort of the variance in their scores. Tanner Bruin, a 91 and a 104. He's slowly, not slowly anymore, he's really ramped up his development, and I think he's going to take it to the next stage next year. So I'm interested to see what he's sort of priced at next year in both formats. Zach Tui, an 80, really kicked a couple of crucial goals, and one late on that probably pumped up his Supercoach score. But yeah, kicked that late goal to basically seal off the game, and 80 points for him in fantasy. Mitch Duncan, 79-87, not really worthy of anything anymore, any relevance. Bose, 78 and 80, so for those who jumped on, I think it just shows to you that probably wasn't the top end guy that you want. Stengel, 69 and 90. Dangerfield out on a 61 and an 81 in Supercoach, and 46% time on ground, so it really shows that the impact, but again, another injury and probably more weeks on the sideline for him. Henry of 59, Blickard, Stanley, Henry, and then Dempsey of 50 and a 49, got off to an absolute fire start with 32 in the first about 25 minutes, I would say, and then 18 for the rest of the game. I think he even had a negative quarter or something like that in the second, or maybe a 2-point quarter or something like that. Yeah, he just did nothing for the rest of the game, so happy that he didn't do anything. Hawkins, Colin Jasny, Atkins, Parfitt, O'Connor, Close, and De Koning. Then we move over to Carlton, and you've got Harry Mackay of 117 and then 93 Supercoach, 2 goals, 2, didn't kick the ball well for Clangers, that's why you got that negative split. Paddy Cripps, 117, 116. He was the one that they were going to early, especially with the ruck dominance of Pitnet. It was something like 10 clearances to 1 or 2, I think. 8 clearances to 1, 10 clearances to 2 very early on. And yeah, that was just all through Pitnet, basically to Cripps and Walsh, which we'll get to. Acres, he did really well, especially late on. I think he kicked 2 goals very late and had probably 40 or 50 of his points in the last quarter. If we just go to here, he had 35 points in the last 2 goals, 6 touches, 1 mark, 1 tackle, and then that was basically why he got all his points, as the other quarters were 20 odds. Then we move Wiedering 107. Key defenders are going to do this event sometimes, so we just got a lot of the marks. Kennedy 102, 4 marks, 9 tackles. Huge tackling effort from him. Walsh got tagged by O'Connor to like a 48 or something halftime score. Then they alleviated the tag as the Cats were up by 3 goals or so. And then Sammy Walsh got going in the third quarter, and then in the last, I think he had like a 16, I want to say. Let me just check. Yeah, 16 in the last, but in the third quarter he had a 29. So that would have meant was he on 59 at halftime? 33 plus 24. So he was on 57 at halftime. So yeah, just another one. It didn't go mad, didn't go crazy. Probably would have gone crazy if he didn't, if all his disposals were counted as efficient. If he gets that efficiency up to sort of that 70% range, that's where he's going to get those real big points. Hewitt in 88, 75, just probably butchered the ball here. 5 clearances though for him, but yeah, just not really, just sort of that 4th or 5th guy in the midfield that's not really going to see consistent scoring. Charlie Curnow really came alive in the latter part of the game, I believe he was on 1 goal at halftime. So yeah, 3 goals, 2 in the end for him. A massive Supercoach score as he sort of almost guided the team back. Nick Newman, again, just sort of shows that they're sort of spreading it around at Carlton, so you don't really want to have him. Elijah Holland, he started off on fire, but then faded very, very much so. Pitt net a 77 and then a 112 Supercoach. I just think he got on top in the ruck, and that's the reason why with the 28 hitouts. No tackles for him, which was a little bit surprising, and a couple of marks, which were handballs off of those marks. So 77 for him. Boyd, 75. Zach Williams, a 60 for those that held. Didn't really damage you any way, shape or form that if you held or traded. And then 78 in Supercoach, the same sort of thing applies. Lewis Young, Brody Kemp, Durden, Cowan, Cottrell, Carroll, Hollands, Owies and Binns. No one here really is fancy relevant, to be honest with you. And no one here really at the bottom end of this had really impactful games in what was a really good game to actually watch as a neutral, as Geelong just got over the line against the Blues that came home very, very strongly. What did they kick? They kicked like 3 goals in about a minute and a half just to massively bring the game back. But in the end, it was 5 goals 1 to 4 goals 5 in the last quarter, and that's sort of the difference in the game, in that Carlton just couldn't put away their chances. And yeah, so that's pretty much the video there, going through the Geelong versus Carlton game. A very short recap, as these two teams, well, at least Geelong, for their sake, don't really have anyone that's fantasy relevant. We've seen games with Geelong that have 0 ton scores and they still win the game. And then Carlton, they obviously have Walsh, but Nick Newman isn't fantasy relevant anymore this year. Paddy Cripps is up there, but do you really want to risk it on him? I don't think so. And, well, Zach Williams is sort of, with that sub out last week, sort of lost his fantasy relevance, I would say. But anyway, that pretty much is the video there. And I guess I will see you guys in the last recap of the day, the Freo versus Western Bulldogs game. So I'll see you guys in that one. Bye, guys.